Hey guys, I hope everybody is having a joyful weekend. We are wrapping up week 27-ish, 28, 27. We're wrapping up week 27 out of our 30 books in 30 weeks. And this week's book is called 50 Shades of Grey. It's by E.L. James. It's part of a trilogy series. 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, and 50 Shades Freed, I think, are the three titles. This is the first one in this series, and we've been focusing on challenging belief systems as it relates to sex and sexuality and societal expectations. And so that's sort of been our subject matter for this week in our personal development journey. So as you guys come in, feel free to share the video out. Welcome some other folks into the conversation, or share it just with somebody who may need or may have a little bit of more curiosity, shall we say, but doesn't really want to jump on the feed or the stream themselves, because it is a sensitive subject. Sex makes people uncomfortable sometimes. I know that. But I challenge you to confront your fears, confront the things that make you uncomfortable, and dive in and figure out, why do these things make me so uncomfortable? They're just real stuff. They're real life things. Everybody goes through them. And when you look at everybody that have children, there's a lot of people doing it. So it can't be all bad. Can't be all scary. So, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And so I want to talk today about sexual common sensibility. It's kind of sort of a made-up word that I sort of came up with myself to kind of describe the part that's kind of missing, because sometimes we miss the common sense aspect when we're talking about sexual energy, sexual desires, and intimacy. So for those of you who are coming in for the first time, welcome to the Ultimate Power Team. My name is Marcy Batiste, your Ultimate Power Coach, America's #1 reality-based success and recovery trainer. I am so grateful that you guys are here. I'm so grateful that so many of you have been on this journey with me for the last 8 or 9 months. It has truly been a pleasure and an honor to be able to dig through my personal development library and share takeaways, tips, tools, and ahas with all of you guys. Things that usually only my coaching clients get to experience, and I've been able to now share that with all of you, maybe a little bit smaller doses. So let's get into tonight's subject matter. I won't be on here too long, but I want to talk, as we wrap up this week's book and we wrap up our conversation about sexual energy, sexual desires, and one of the things I talked about was the role that society plays in how we view our own sexuality and our own comfort level with sex and sexuality. And so, hey, what's up, David? So one of the things when we talk about sexual common sensibility, that's a term that I use to kind of, they say common sense isn't so common. But the same thing goes with, we think about that in really generalized terms about common sense, but we have the same experience when it comes to sexual identities, sexual desires, even the comfort level of having a conversation about sex and intimacy. And so it's that common sensibility, like, let's approach sex and sexuality and our personal, intimate adult desires with a degree of common sense. Like, let's really apply some logic to it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you look around at the number of people that are having children, there's a whole lot of people out there having sex, but nobody wants to talk about it. It's like this dirty little secret, but everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to know about it. Everybody's curious about it. But then if you talk about it, then people, all of a sudden, a lot of society throws judgment your way. And so, but I know for a fact, based on the inboxes that I've got, it's a subject matter that people have curiosity about. And so I would challenge you to push back on the sexual common sensibility and be able to say, you know what, I'm not going to judge that conversation. I'm not going to judge that person because they have a different desire than I have. I'm not going to judge that person because they're into a lifestyle that I don't understand. And that's what happened with this book. Once people saw the movie and the movie came out, they're no longer just looking through their little bitty lens of experience at what some of the terminologies meant. Excuse me. But they had the movie forced them to take a big broad picture and say, here in your face, this is what we're talking about. This is what bondage and submission looks like. This is what this contract negotiation looks like. This is what, and these are the feelings. And so it gave an audio and it gave a visual. to something that people were maybe, really tender with, because it was beyond their level of comprehension that things could go as far as they go. But I challenge you to fight back, like I said, against the sexual common sensibility and say, does this really make sense? That I would feel this insecure, or that I would feel this uncomfortable just having a simple conversation about sex and intimacy. Particularly those of you who have children. Everybody knows you've done it. You can't hide it. You can't deny it. So why are you so uncomfortable about it? Why are you placing judgment about it? There's nothing to feel guilty about, except that we all have varying degrees and varying different desires as it relates to our own intimate wishes, our own comfort levels. That varies for everyone. It's not the same. It's not the same for everybody. It's not intended to be. But if you take that common sense approach and apply some sensibility to the sexual conversation, I think it will lower some of the discomfort that many people feel. And that's really why I wanted to tackle this subject. That's why I chose this as a personal development book, because I know for a lot of the women that I work with in trauma recovery, and a lot of the men in particular that I work with in sex tutoring and relationship management, that is an area where people are least likely to have the conversation with their mate. But it's the most important conversation sometimes that needs to be had, because they're not firing on all cylinders, they're not speaking the same language, and they don't know how. And so you have to be comfortable enough to find a way to begin to explore these other things. You can't just take it at face value and say, oh, well, I've never done that before, so it's got to be wrong. Or, my Nana told me, when I was 6 years old, that only these kind of girls do that. Well, things have changed a lot since Nana was giving you advice, and you're not 6 years old anymore, and you maybe have been through some experiences that alters your own perception and your own plane that you're on as it relates to your sexual curiosities, your sexual desires, the things. You've decided what some of the things are that you like and you don't like. But you have to be able to voice those. You have to be able to give your needs a voice. And that's across the board. Whether we're talking about sex, whether we're talking about starting a business, we're talking about building a relationship, we're talking about any kind of crucial communications. I did a whole series at the beginning of the year on crucial conversations and how to have them. And if I could tell you, that's the biggest conversation that I have in my relationship management and sex tutoring clients, is how to communicate with your partner. When do you say, I don't really like when you do that? When do you say, how do you say, I want to try something new, I want to explore, I want to try something different? How do you receive that information when your partner says that and you're like, well, where did you get that idea from? And so there's a lot of pushback and there's a lot of push and shove that makes it difficult for people to have those conversations. But I want you all to just take a common sense approach to it and say, everybody's doing it, let's talk about it. Why are we so uncomfortable talking about it? So leave it to me to stir the pot. Reality-based living, that's what I do, that's what I stand for, that's what I wholeheartedly believe in. What's up, Melissa? That's what I wholeheartedly believe in. But in order to live a reality-based life, you have to be comfortable giving your insecurities a voice. You have to be uncomfortable to have the conversations that make you uncomfortable. More importantly, you have to be willing to engage in the conversations that might make other people uncomfortable, but serve your best self the most. You have to be your own best advocate. That's our message for tonight. That's the message from 50 Shades of Grey. Overall, just apply a level of common sense to your conversations as it relates to sex, intimacies, and any of your personal and professional desires. You can't heal it if you can't speak it. You can't achieve it if you can't believe it. And that's what it amounts to. So that's the message for today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend as you're winding up your Sunday afternoons, early evenings, late evenings on the East Coast. And we'll be back tomorrow with week 28's book selection, and we are really, really, truly about to land this plane in the next couple weeks. So I look forward to visiting with you guys tomorrow night. As always, thanks for living life on Mars and being part of the Ultimate Power Team. I'm glad you joined in. Talk to you guys later.